Hello! Welcome to March. I have to say, the last couple of weeks has been mega busy, and that was why I didn't have a video last Sunday, because I have just started opening the barn on a weekend for members of the public so they can come and see the beautiful lambs. It's ticketed, and I'm only charging £5 a head, and it gives a chance for people to come in, see the lambs, have a cuddle, maybe see a birth if it happens. So far it hasn't. And just for me, get some extra income at this time of year when normally I'm not really selling anything, and that helps go into the farm and all the conservation projects, but also just allowing people on a really nice, sunny, beautiful day to come and see lambs. So this is our current setup. We've got a big pen with mums and older lambs down here, and then we have our younger lambs here, and you can see we've had some Norfolks. And come to think of it, if you are local and you want to come along, I will put the booking link in the description below. It's only at weekends, and it's only going to be for the next couple of weeks because of course then all the lambs will be out in the field. But as I say, I'm in Suffolk, so if you fancy a trip and you want to come and see in person, follow the link and it's got all the details. The tiny lamb that we had born 2 weeks ago made it. Here he is. He's down this corner, and his mum now loves him. And then we have a couple more. So this is my first ever Norfolk ewe. She had a huge stonking ram lamb, and then this girl last year didn't have one. I think she got pregnant quite late on, and then I think she lost it because she started to develop a bit of an udder, and then it disappeared. Well, anyway, she had twins. The girl was born first, this lovely ewe lamb, and then she had a ram lamb, and he would not breathe. I did everything I could, or you stick the straw in the mouth, you try and get them to breathe, to get that reflex. I put him in the frog position, nothing. Gave him mouth to mouth, nothing. And it's horrible because you feel their heartbeat like getting slower and slower and disappearing, and you're just like, breathe, and he didn't. But we have a beautiful ewe lamb. And then we have this tiny chap, and so this was the lamb that was born last week, or 2 weeks ago on the last video. I think he was premature. It took me sort of 5 days. He wanted to drink from the teat, so I didn't bottle him at any point, but he didn't have the strength to hold his head up to the nipple. So I was coming in here and holding his head up onto the nipple. He was very slow to drink, so I was in here sort of every couple of hours having to kneel with him for about 20 minutes. Wasn't I? Yeah. But on day 5 something clicked. Mum suddenly went, oh, you're a lamb, I want you. He went, oh, okay, I can find the teat on my own. And he's gaining every single day, which is just fantastic. I know, I'm going to give him back. Here you go. Big stretch. So far we've had 12 ewes give birth, and we've got 12 lambs, which is great. They've all had singles, apart from that one twin. Some of the sheep are now out on the field. I've kept some lambs in the lambing barn because people want to see lambs when they come, and I wanted to keep a couple of more robust lambs for people to cuddle. But yesterday was the first day when I put 4 of the lambs out onto pasture with their mums, and my retiree girls, and a couple of last year's lambs that I still need to send to the abattoir, and a couple of last year's ewe lambs that I'm keeping. So they're out in the field, bouncing around, looking lovely. And it's really nice to have them out in the field for them, for their welfare, outside, big space, but also for me, because it means that I have to pay so much to feed them. Because obviously if they're in the barn, you're feeding them nuts, you're feeding them hay. I want them outside doing that. So quite a lot of my time in the barn is keeping everything clean and tidy and swept, so that when guests come, it's still a working farm. There's still going to be some mess around. I never want to actually be an open petting zoo or petting farm. That's not what I'm here to do. But people are still coming in. It still needs to be relatively tidy. But I had also forgotten how amazing pigs are at making compost. So if you remember, I brought Daisy and Rose in because they are due to farrow, and I put them in pens that the sheep have been in, the rams have been in over winter. They're deep litter pens, and the pigs have come in and they've just turned it all over. So they're basically creating compost, which is incredible. I can't wait actually to put these pigs back out and to use all of this in the garden. So just where these gates are at the front and it falls out, I just scrape it up and put it back. Because it's not muck, it's just composted straw and hay and goodness, which is being broken down. And I want to keep the pigs doing that. However, there have been some new arrivals. Rose has piglets. Pigs are really clever. I really think they're clever. So these piglets are a week old, and so a week ago Rose built a huge nest, and that nest consisted of scraping the entirety of all of this deep litter into a huge compost mound over here. Now, not only was that a really good nest for her to have her babies in, but the heat coming out of it from that composting material meant that on the nights when everything was frozen outside, they were super snuggly and warm. Every night on those cold nights, she would actually dig into the compost pile, create a sort of a little indent, and they would all go inside and keep snug as a bug. It was amazing. She did have 4. She's got quite a small litter. She had 4. Here is the first one being born, which was quite amazing. And then I did come out one morning after it was about 72 hours. I came out and there were only 3. I don't know what happened to that 4th one. When they were first born, there was one that would get up and wander off. I wondered if it wandered off in the night and then got cold and has died somewhere, or died and she ate it. I have dug over all the compost to kind of try and find it. It's not buried. But she's got 3 lovely, healthy little piglets who, as you can see, are starting to wander around over everything. Now obviously 4 is a very small litter size. You kind of would expect them to have 5 or 6 at minimum. She's quite a small pig. It's her first time. I don't completely know what's happened and why she's had such a small litter size. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be a pig conveyor belt. I'm not a commercial practice. I'm not trying to create hundreds and hundreds of pigs. So I'm happy that she has healthy piglets. That's most important to me, that she has nice, healthy piglets. And they are going to grow at a stonking rate, considering there's only 3 of them. So they will be huge in no time. And I think because there's only 3, I will probably keep these 3 back and use them as meat pigs for me. And then actually, I'll probably put Daisy back with the boar fairly quickly, because she's not going to lose much condition from feeding 3 piglets, which means I can get her back in pig, yeah, as I say, quite quickly. Spring is definitely coming though. The first spring bulbs are in flower and out. I've seen bees around. There are buds coming out on trees. Some of the ornamental plants are starting to flower as well. The geese have actually begun laying and nesting in their goose tractor. And also the muscovies in the barn are starting, the hens are starting to pay attention to the nesting boxes. So I would think before not too long there'll be some muscovy eggs as well. One thing I am experimenting with this year is not tail docking. I'm still tail docking my Norfolk horns because that's the breed standard, and so to be able to sell breeding stock, rams and breeding ewes, they need to have their tail docked. Although, you know, there might be one in the future that I think actually I'm going to keep you, so I'm going to leave your tail long and experiment. But the reason I'm doing it is because I have 2 Jacob sheep over here that I inherited with long tails, and they have never once had fly strike or scour or anything like that. So I completely understand the conventional wisdom that you dock for hygiene reasons and it allows less build-up of fecal matter at the back end, which then means that flies aren't attracted and you don't get maggot infestations. However, if leaving the tail long allows the sheep to swat away flies, then surely that's a good thing. And it's more natural and it's less human management. So I'm going to give it a go. I'm not going to dock any of my Jacob lambs at all this year, and we'll see what happens. And I think I can't really see a downside at the moment. The only downside I can see is that I might not be able to sell them. But although they're pedigree, they're not registered because they've come from unregistered stock, which means proper breeders of Jacobs that need their tails to be docked for this breed standard, they wouldn't buy mine anyway. Most of mine are normally bought as pets for people that have got a couple of acres and they want to graze something with a pretty sheep, because a Jacob is a pretty sheep. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. And then of course, with this beautiful weather, means that the garden, my fingers want to start sowing. But the problem is, although we've had beautiful warm days, we've had clear skies at night, and that means heavy frost. So we're not really quite ready to plant loads of stuff out, but that doesn't mean I can't get going. The broad beans, however, have been a bit of a nightmare. So here is my broad bean bed, and you can see there are hardly any broad beans left. And that is because I had covered this piece over with a piece of plastic, and that had meant that a certain family of rodents, you can see the rest of their nest here, had moved in. And I got sidetracked with lambing and I didn't come and check. And when I did come and check, they had eaten most of the broad beans. So I've had to start all over again. But it is coming together. The garden is getting there. You can see there are quite a lot of garlics now coming up, quite a lot of onions coming up. You can also see there's still quite a lot of work to do, but there's actually not a vast amount of weeding there. Most of it's about delineating pathways and putting fresh compost down. But it does mean that in the polytunnel, it's getting mega warm. And so stuff is growing and it's very exciting. So in the polytunnel, we have a fresh batch of broad beans on the go, and they are just starting to germinate, but it just means they're going to be mega late this year. We've got some spinach coming on. They are just germinating here. We've got the first of our sugar snap peas coming on. This is a tray of snapdragons that I need to prick out, but they're all doing quite nicely at the moment, as you can see. Our Mizuna and red mustard, and this is a red Mizuna, and this is a green Mizuna. But you can see it's actually starting to get a little bit too hot in here now, because we've got a flower already. And actually this looks like it wants to go to flower. So we'll only have probably a few more crops come off those. And I can't grow it most of the year because the flea beetle. I always try. I have sown some more. In this corner we've got trays of stuff sort of ready to go out. So this is larkspur. We've got snapdragons. We've got cornflowers. This is nigella. And then we've got more spinach. This is all chard. Some spring onions. And then over the other side we have trays of kale ready to go out. This is some more Mizuna and red mustard that needs to be pricked out. These are some wallflowers that I have grown from some old seed. And the same with this. These are honesties or luminaria, I think they are, that I threw in some very old seed. I didn't want to waste it, and actually those have worked. I'm probably going to put those on the driveway along with the verbena and the spring bulbs and things to add some colour. And then lastly in here, I put in some ranunculus in the polytunnel. So there's a patch of ranunculus here. This one's gone mouldy though. Oh no, they're the stems. Oh, it has gone a little bit mouldy. And then I had some excess larkspur, so I put that in here. Although, is that a flower head? I don't want that flower. Don't flower. So it's all coming together. I have quite a lot under grow lights at the moment as well. So inside I'm germinating beetroot and lettuce and a lot more cut flowers, some more spring onions. Basically I'm trying to get all the crops going inside under grow lights. Then they come out to the polytunnel. Then I start to harden them off, and then as soon as I feel like the last frosts or lower frosts have gone, because a lot of crops, of course, can stand a small frost, they just can't stand repeated hard frosts. So as soon as those repeated hard frosts have passed, we'll start to get stuff out into the garden. It's very exciting. Love this time of year. I can't believe how warm it is today. It's beautiful. And then also the first guinea pigs are out. So I've kept all my breeding sows indoors just in case there's a predator accident. But I had 2 boys that have been born on the farm, and so they are here. All right, boys, calm down. So we're testing, and you can see they've already started to make some good inroads in the grass. So now we just need to breed even more. So I've got a whole troop that I can move around, and then I don't have to strim this anymore. I can move the guinea pigs through it, and then I can collect their poop as well, which can go straight into the garden. And also people coming to the lambing barn to see the lambs have not only been able to see the lambs and the mums, but they've been able to see the piglets, and they've also been able to see the guinea pigs and whole guinea pigs. So that's been a great thing. And actually, if I was selling guinea pigs, I'd have made a fortune, but I'm not. And I think that's our beginning of March roundup. It's all looking very positive. You know, spring is on the way. Haven't lost any lambs. Got more to go. I think actually there's 2 that might go today. And the year can only go up, right?